Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Tournament Talk. I'm Jason with Pellucid Travel. I'm excited to have this great group of individuals on this call and leaders in the industry. Really our focus today is going to be talking about how important it is for destinations to maximize the relationships they have with their local hoteliers. And so we've got a great group here and we'll go through and introduce everyone. Like I said, my name is Jason Puckett. I work for Pellucid Travel and handle our business development. We're a full service travel company. We help with managing housing around events. We do outbound travel and even do some consulting, helping with site selection, RFP creation, and distribution. But enough of me. So first I want to introduce Lizette. Lizette, if you can just give a little background on who you are.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm happy to be here. So thank you, Jason. So I am, my name's Lizette Castaneda. I work with Choice. I'm their group sports account manager. So I was formerly with Radisson, but Choice acquired Radisson back in June of last year. So we're fully integrated with both brands. But yeah.
Awesome. Michael?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for letting me join you today. I really appreciate the opportunity. My name is Michael Cousins. I work with Hilton Worldwide Sales. So I'm the NSO I'm one of 4 NSOs on the sports team with Hilton, managing a lot of mostly the youth and amateur market. I have some focus in the pro world. I work with UFC as well as the NFL teams. Been in my position I just hit 6 years. So, and I've been working with Jason and his team since the inception of Pellucid. So, and just glad to be here and glad to be able to connect with everybody.
Awesome. All right. Mackenzie?
MCKENZYLACKO, the sports sales manager at Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Our department is Bradenton Area Sports. I've been in this role for about a year now. I was previously working with the Bradenton Area CVB prior to this role, but I was the event manager out at Premier Sports Campus. So that's how I kind of got interested in the sports market and transitioned over into this role. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Pete?
Thanks, Jason. It's great to be here also. My name is Pete Harvey. I'm the Director of Sports for Visit Sarasota County. Prior to that, I was the Director of the Buffalo, New York Sports Commission for 15 years. And I've had the opportunity to work with Jason and Pellucid as well as the ownership prior to Pellucid for over 17 years. And I just added it up today. Today is my 40th, or this year is my 40th year in this business in one way or another. So that just means I'm getting old.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Pete. And then Rob.
I am Director of Sales and Marketing for the Loft Hotel Sarasota. Previously, I was a Regional Director of Sales for the Steinbrenner organization. We had 9 hotels, ramped them up, and then sold them off. So I was basically pricing myself out of a job and needed some growth. So I'm with Pyramid Hotels now. And I've been in this area, last count, about 17 years in this market in Tampa just before that. So I'm happy to be on the call and help any way I can.
Yeah, that's great. So, the purpose of this call really is to help tourism organizations and facilities maximize hotel relationships within their destination. Really wanted to highlight what Visit Sarasota and the Bradenton Area CVB have done, supporting the hotel sales and marketing committee. So I'm going to get into this with some questions, and Rob, I'm going to stick with you. How did the hotel sales committee start? Was there a need you were trying to fill? Kind of what's the origin story there?
So when I came down from Tampa, it's a whole new market for me, but a big push for the sports market. We had some new venues that were coming to the market. There were talks at that point of a rowing lake, which is, as we all know, huge for our area now. And we've hosted the World Rowing Championship and 2 other world events. So there was a need for the mainland hotels to become more involved in the sports market. At that time, the Visit Sarasota and Bradenton were more or less marketing the beach properties. Most of the business that was coming in was leisure business at the time, probably 85%. So the inland hotels found the need to be marketed more at that point. So we pulled some salespeople from various hotels together. We were marketing 2 counties at the time. We thought, since most people could not identify where Bradenton ended and where Sarasota began at the time, that we would pull together and market the destination together. So since there's a pot of money in Bradenton, Manatee County, and a pot of money in Sarasota, and they can't really cross over, we hosted the meetings and invited the CVBs to join our meetings. So that overcame the hurdle of exclusive meetings. So we've been doing this now for 15 years or so, and we try to have meetings. It was every month, but now we're post-COVID about every other month.
Yep.
And sports is always the biggest attraction, biggest attractor. They want to know, the hotels want to know what's going on and how they can get more of the sports business. As we know, the sports market is very recession proof, and the parents will spend money on their kids no matter what. And so through the waves, the late 2006, 2007, and COVID and so forth, that was the market we were all chasing. So there's a lot of attention that comes with having sports specific meetings for the hotel committee, and Jason's been to a lot of them over the years. And it's just good for us all to pull together and market the destination as a whole, both counties together for us. But for the hotels to more or less have their own meeting and invite in all the partners that we need on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. So it works well. And like I said, you've been to a lot of them, and Pete's been to a few of them in his tenure back here. So we find its success in 15-year tenure speaks for itself, that people are still showing up. So we feel there is a need.
I think it's great that the fact that, it's been going for so long, but it was started by the hoteliers to really drive more business inland, right? Everyone always focused on marketing efforts for the beach properties, which is of course understood. Both destinations have world-renowned, beaches, but driving that early on really helped kind of grow the sports market in the area. Rob, what type of people attend these meetings? What level on the hotel side?
So we get everything from the hotel owners, the GMs, the directors of sales, down to the sales managers that are just handling the market where we have attending for that month. So they are the decision makers, players, if you will. And then we, as I said, bring in the partners that pertain to that meeting. We do meeting planner meetings. We do FIT wholesale meetings. But we always have at least 2 or 3 sports meetings because they're most popular each year.
Yeah, that's great. Hitting on some of those topics that you have, especially not only just sports, but bringing things in, even talking about GDS or talking about other opportunities there are for group business and having one in there. So I'm going to shift over a little bit to Pete and Mackenzie to get the destination side. So both of you are both relatively new to your roles in this destination. What were your initial thoughts of hearing on the committee? Kind of what were your expectations when you heard something like this was put together?
Well, I'll start, Mackenzie, if that's okay.
Yep.
I got here last July, and one of the first people I met was Rob, and he started talking about the bi-monthly meeting. And I thought it was absolutely amazing. I think it's great. I came from a destination very similar to Sarasota and Bradenton. There was Niagara Falls and Buffalo. And this is something that I had tried to do with them. And they really did this a little bit. But when I came down here and Rob had this already set up and got to meet Mackenzie, and since that time, through these meetings and through other meetings, we work very well together, almost like, parallel teams. because there's so many events that are happening in Manatee County, up at Premier Sports Campus, or in Sarasota County, at Nathan Benderson, where we really need the assets of both counties to make those be successful for the whole region. So when Rob told me about this, it's been amazing. It's also, as a new person in this region, amazing to be able to go to one place and meet all the directors of sales, or all the different people that I haven't had a chance to get out and see yet.
Yeah, that's great. Mackenzie, you can add to that, but also too, just how has this committee helped you in your role, right? You said you started about a year ago. How has it helped you just want to understand the sports market a little bit better, but help support what you're doing to try to recruit events to the destination?
Yeah, so having the committee in our areas and attending them are great with staying in touch with our local hotel, with our hotel partners, making new connections and staying up to date with new expansions and updates with hotels and the destinations. It's very important, very vital in all of our roles. So these meetings have also been a place where I can better understand the needs of hoteliers and where I can be of further assistance in their successes. So one of the first projects in my role was to implement a new process to help inform our hotel partners of upcoming events that would have a larger impact on room nights. So I created a list of sponsored sporting events in the Bradenton area that I send quarterly to hotel partners, because I know Pete has the some upcoming events on the Sarasota website. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we unfortunately don't have that. So I had to kind of get creative with, sharing those sponsored sporting events in our area. So we also have the ones at Premier. We have a calendar of events on our Premier Sports Campus site connected to our destination website. So I send those hand in hand to our hotel partners. And yeah, the committee's been great. I love staying in touch with all of our hotel partners, and just I learn something new every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. Having one place as a resource, and like Pete talked about, being able to meet and see everyone in one place is so valuable, right? Being able to kind of keep a pulse in the industry. So with that said, and Rob, you can jump in here too, but more, Pete and Mackenzie, if a destination doesn't have something like this, but really feels that there's value, are there any points that you think they should take in order to set something up like this? One thing I heard, which I thought was valuable, was the fact it's an independent group, right? Sometimes destinations have memberships, or they're county owned and operated, and they can only really support the hotels in their community. However, we always know that events, especially when you've got properties in both destinations, there's an opportunity for them to cross over. So any sort of advice?
Like you said, it's free to everyone. We find a host hotel, or Christmas time, we've often done restaurants and new restaurants in the area that want to promote to the hotels. So for 15 years now, we've been able to find sponsors every month. There's nothing that we have to pay, and we usually get a little food and beverage out of it as well. Just the structure, it used to be more of a formal presentation, 15 minutes of networking, and then start the presentation. But post-COVID, we've kind of loosened up a little. We do 30 minutes of reception and networking with the speakers and the hoteliers. We find that to be very beneficial, and then kind of do a stand-up, quick presentations, everyone introduce themselves. It's very casual, and that seems to be going very well. So yeah, no cost. It's not like HSMAI or anything like that. It's just our own thing, and there's no cost on either side. So it like I said, it just started with, hey, I think we have a problem. I called a few of my hotel friends. We had 8 or 10 show up at the first meeting, a round table, identified where we wanted to go, and then 30, 40, 50 people started showing up. So it's just comes down to a really good email list at that point, and we certainly have that. So I really appreciate it. It is a team effort, like you said, with Pete, Mackenzie, and you, and Shelby back in the day, the other sports people. It takes a little bit of effort to coordinate and pull the speakers together, but in the long run, it keeps us tight as a destination. And you all know we'll throw it out there if we're having an issue. It's not all roses every day. You know, if there's some issues the hotels are having, it's a good time to bring it up and address them or table it for next meeting or whatever. But we've overcome a lot of objections and keep everyone on the same page as best we can.
Yeah, that's great. And I know for someone like our organization coming in, not having necessarily worked in the Sarasota market yet, it was nice to be able to introduce ourselves through your committee and be able for you to share with, one, we know we're getting the right contacts, and two, coming from someone that, you know, has a vested interest in the community and understands, kind of allowed us to kind of get our foot in the door. And I think if destinations did that more, it would limit some of those. It would just make it a little bit more efficient. So I'll turn it over to Lizette now. So you're now living in the SRQ area, which is awesome. And you had an opportunity to attend one of the committee meetings. What was your impressions and takeaways from that? You know, how do you think that the similar group to this could help other destinations?
Yeah. So first off, it was very welcoming. I got to meet Mackenzie there. I got to meet Rob. So I really loved that environment. It was with the welcoming piece, you could get the sense of community. And I think that's really important because as an event organizer to bring an event to the area, the last thing you want is to have, you know, not to know who your partners are, but not to have those partners work together. So I think I like to say in the sports world, with other brands, we play nice in the sandbox, and that's exactly what you saw. Everybody just coming together, the collaboration. To Rob's point about talking about issues, it's not always roses, but that's so important, and that does create a teamwork atmosphere, and it'll only help solve any potential issues that may arise when hosting a tournament. I also think, with other destinations, it's so important to create partnerships as a hotelier with your venues. And I think on the hotel side, it's important for people to realize, or hoteliers to realize that it's a larger picture. If a tournament is successful, all the hotel partners come together, that tournament will come back again. And we all like the repeat business. We all like that sense of security of tournaments repeating. So I love that piece, that collaboration, that teamwork, and you really felt it within this committee.
Yeah, that's great. No, they really surmise that really well. You've been posting a lot of great content on LinkedIn to help hoteliers learn and be a better steward of the sports tourism space. Is there any words of wisdom that you could provide to a destination facilities, how to grow their relationships with local hoteliers?
Yeah, I'm not a stoic here, but I do. As far as words of wisdom, I always say over communicate. It's truly a partnership. There's things in the hotel side that may not always work out, but it's about having an open line of communication, transparency, and really working together. I think that's really important because, as a event planner or housing bureau, you're trying to find these rooms, and it's important to have a sense of understanding of what it takes to get there, because we all want these tournaments, like I said, these events to happen. It's going to generate revenue for the city. With more events, the hotels can stay staffed. So there's so much more involved, but I would say over communicate, truly look at it as a partnership with being fully transparent.
Yeah, that's awesome. Appreciate that. So, Michael, switching over to you, I'll kind of repeat a little bit of the same question with Lizette. Any advice you can give to local destinations on how to improve their relationships with the hoteliers in the community?
Well, I think everybody has really they've hit the nail on the head, and some of it I'm just going to reiterate, but I think this entire industry is so built on relationships and long-term relationships. So, and very predominantly in the sports world, those relationships are so important. They're hardly transactional. The relationships are so crucial sorry, I have a little furry friend who's trying to join me right now.
You warned us that was going to happen.
I warned you. That's right.
The furry friend is more than welcome to join the call.
That's right. But to get back to the point is really that we all have, whether we work for competitors or not, the whole purpose really is to ensure that we have successful events, that our event organizers, who are all of our partners, feel confident in those events that they have and whatever destination they're going. So it just makes sense for all of us to be working together and to be on the same page to ensure that it's a successful event. We all have access to different types of information. And a lot of it is something that can be shared amongst all of us. So it's just so important that we're communicating and connecting with our destination partners and even our, what we would call competitors, but just, we're all on the same page, because where the relationships really meet, where that really shows the benefit the most is when there's an issue. I know you guys have alluded to that, but when those issues arise, it's great to have those connections with so many people in those areas so that we can find solutions quickly. Otherwise,
solve them
what it's like to try
fast
to
and efficient.
it does. It makes a huge difference. Otherwise, we're kind of spinning our wheels. And so because of that, it's just when we go to trade shows, when Hilton especially goes to trade shows, we love to meet with our destination partners. That's something we request in our appointment portals, in addition to our hotel partners, but really our destination partners, to make sure that we have faces and names together. We all know who each person is, and we develop those great communication channels so that we can make successful events and keep them coming into the same destinations.
Right. And you've touched on this a little bit, but what role do you think you play in supporting local hotel committees? Where do you see, your value from your position, working with, hoteliers on a local level?
So as an NSO, and in this case, the way we're deployed, we're nationally deployed. So I'm a single point of contact for all of our customers, whether it's hotel partners, whether it's event organizers, or even our partners within the industry, with our other hotel chains. So where I think the biggest benefit for us is that there's a little bit of that comes along with knowing people within those specific hotel chains that are above property, so that we can help communicate with our properties if there's ever an issue. If you're trying to move in a new event into that area, it just helps give another layer of support and credibility to that event when we're involved. So the whole idea is to move as much business or support our customers as much as possible. And the best way to do that is to make sure that the hotels are set up for success and they have the most information they can from the customer, and they feel confident in it when they're receiving it. So I think that's where we give the most benefit for our customers. Yeah,
that's great. And I think having a national resource where they can go and talk to someone that's the expert is truly valuable. So yeah, the summary of kind of what we've heard a little bit today is, an independent third-party group that can come in and organize the hotels and support the destination is really valuable. A resource that someone can come through and be able to have that one-stop resource to solve issues. Talking about this from a third-party perspective, allowing myself to, while I knew the community and worked there, I hadn't been really worked in there in a little while. I was able to talk to Rob and say, hey, the event organizer wants a rebate of X. And Rob was able to say, hey, I don't think that's going to fly in this community. You may want to drop it down because they're just not used to paying for this. Or they want a comp ratio of 1 per whatever it may be. And allowing us for success to, one, educate the event organizer, right? But then go to the hotels and offer an RFP that they weren't going to just throw away in the trash because of the concessions asked for were insane. And so just like from a third party perspective, especially if you're working in destinations, suggesting them to have a committee like this can be valuable from that aspect too. So I want to thank everybody for coming on. But before we go, is there any sort of parting thoughts, anything after listening to this that you think a destination watching this, a facility watching this could really utilize, in their own local community? Anyone want to jump in?
One of the things that I've been thinking about is, Rob, the way that you do this, especially in the world of turnover for hotel salespeople. This is an invaluable tool for a new salesperson to learn the animal that sports is, because it's different than meeting sales. And I think this type of a committee really helps a new salesperson in any destination So just my 2 cents.
And picking back off of P. Oh, I'm sorry, Mackenzie.
No, go ahead.
I love what you said. And I also like, as far as a destination goes, I really believe that there can be even more partnership, if you will, between an NSO and the destination, because to your point, there's so much turnover. So Michael and I have resources where we can find an on-site point of contact as an NSO for one of our properties in the event there is no point of contact or no one knows who to reach out to for, to respond to a citywide event, RFP that came out. So definitely utilizing us as a resource when I think about destinations and struggling to get responses from some of our brands.
And I just wanted to kind of add and already touch on what was discussed, but relationships are really important. So I would just recommend to start creating and fostering those relationships as much as you can. And if you're like Pete and I, where we are in close proximity to each other, and some of your hotel pickups are going to bleed in the next county over, start working together with your neighbor. We're not competitors in these roles, and it's only benefited both of us by working together. And kind of with the economic impact going into both destinations, it's a win for both of us. So I would also add that if you have the passion and dedication to start a program like our hotel committee, thank you, Rob, you've done great. So I would pick his brain, but start the conversations where you're partners to get the ball rolling.
Awesome. Rob, do you have anything to chime in there? I saw you take mute off.
I just appreciate everyone supporting the hotel committee, and it definitely paves the way for smoother tournaments. There are issues. I screw up my RFPs all the time, and can always reach out and make some adjustments. It's much of a pain in the neck as that can be on occasion, but it enables us to sell the hotels, have our general managers and owners supportive of this type of business, and not look at it last minute and say, oh, that was a bad piece of business because we had to pay all this money on it. Commissions and rebates, no owners really understand that helps the event happen, the event can't happen. They can't staff it. They can't rent the fields or the lake in our case, or without some type of rebate in most of these events. So it's just creating that awareness and understanding of this type of market. And you're right, we get a lot of new sales managers that have a lot of questions, and they get the list of asks from the event and don't realize that they can go through each one and find out exactly what's important, rather than throwing it away. Like Jason said, I can't do all this, I'm not going to do it. So we're used to the asks. You guys wouldn't be doing your jobs if you didn't ask for it. So it helps people understand that they can weed through that and still make it work. So it's beneficial for the hotels as well as the third parties and the event holders. So I think that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you. Michael?
Honestly, Rob, you were actually starting to talk about what I was going to share. So, I just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, I think the idea that I know a sticking point for so many of our even destination, not you guys specifically, but just wherever they tend to try to hold these events, would be the concessions when the hotels see them, and there's kind of a sticker shock when they see them sometimes, especially our focused service properties, or select service properties. So I think with all of us being aligned, knowing that tends to happen, when we're sourcing these, we're communicating that it's so important that when you see those asks, those concessions, if there is one or something that's objectionable, let's talk about it. We just don't know what could be negotiable and what couldn't be, but you're never going to win the business if you don't try. So yeah, it's worth the ask.
That's a great point, and something we try to emphasize along the way. But really think this is valuable for destinations to watch, and with a little bit of effort, finding a local hotelier that will be the champion to kind of organize this, it can really pay a lot of dividends moving forward with how your local hotel community supports this. I think for someone watching this that's not in the sports tourism industry or maybe runs events, look at all the steps that are taken to make sure that things go well, right? You've got things from the national hotel brands, the local brands, the CVBs, third parties. I think when you find the right partners and the right mix, you can truly kind of understand that everyone is putting all the effort necessary to make sure it's a win-win for everyone. I think a lot of times people just feel like it's a link and that's it, and there's not a lot of thought behind it. So I really appreciate everyone kind of giving their perspective from different levels. And again, thank you for your time. I look forward to doing this again in the future, and wish everybody nothing but success. And thanks again for joining us.